Oh, let me put this volume down. Kids are playing with the phone over here.
So
Doc, what's happening, Doc?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good on day 4 of a 4-day fast. Of a well, it was supposed to be a 7-day fast, but I'm gonna cut it a
Ooh,
little bit short. You know, maybe I'll cut it out tomorrow. But actually, it's not bad, man. It's
that's a
not
good
bad. I
thing.
actually
I'm gonna have to
feel
do that.
really, really, really good. I want to make a more of a
Restart.
practice of it. So they say it kills cancer cells,
Yeah, it restarts everything.
dementia, lowers chances of heart disease, prevents diabetes. So I'm like,
I'm gonna have to do
shoot,
that.
all you got to do is just save money, not eat and drink water, drink some tea. I can do that.
All
I
right.
can do that. You know,
All right.
so but
All
yeah,
right. So welcome back to another edition of Boundaries and Brotherhood. I'm your host, Gordon Watt, and today we're gonna be going over the lonely man's guide to what was that? What was the thing again now? What I was saying? The lonely man's guide to building a real community. You mean last week's episode was how iron sharpens iron, and how the community of brotherhood. But today's going to be a sequel to that. And what we're going to be going over is if you pulled your closest friends, would they actually tell you the truth? You mean because if me and Doc was talking about it earlier, right? You need a bunch of friends that's going to tell you the truth, not just he. If you don't have anyone to tell you the truth and just going to hear fluff and hear and say what you want to hear, that's not a real true friend. And statistically showing 15% of men report having no real close friends. And to me, that's a curse
it,
and maybe a blessing at sometimes, but that number
but
is quadrupled since 1990.
yeah, I was about to say that was 1990. It was
Yeah.
15%. We were a lot more connected back then, which made sense.
Mhm.
You look at that time period, but now it's 15%. I'm sorry, now it's 60%, which
Oh
is
man. See?
that's kind of crazy. It
I
really is.
mean, you think about it, right? Today's episode is going to be having real growth isn't supposed to be comfortable. It's kind of abrasive at sometimes. It's also friction
Oh,
heavy, right?
yeah.
And
No,
it's
it's not
also meant to
comfortable at all.
be, huh?
I'm
Yeah,
saying you're right. It's not
and
comfortable
it's
at
meant
all.
to be shared because that's what we'll be going over. Doc, reintroduce yourself. Let us know what we going on, and I'm gonna do what we do. And I'm gonna be setting us all up.
Yeah, so yeah, allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Doc Keith Anthony Fairclough Jr. I'm a mental health therapist, the co-founder of Boundaries and Brotherhood. CEO and founder of Freedom Change Success, my therapy practice, where you are not alone. And guys, I work with relationships and I work with men. That's the and women as well, but all to help people understand their own and to give people a new perspective of the life that they want. And as Gordon said today, guys, we're going to be talking about the lonely man's guide, right? Ideally, we don't want you guys to be lonely. We want you guys to have community. We want you guys to have people you can actually go to who will be real with you and hold you accountable and help you to grow and let you know when you're falling short, in a way that you can receive it, however that looks. We kind of touched on it a little bit. We talked about that a little bit in our previous video. If you haven't seen that, please go back, check we're on all social media, but you can check our YouTube. You can actually watch that when we're talking about Diamond Gym, and you could see how they were pushing each other. And we need people like that because that's where real growth takes place. So today we're going to teach you about how to get connected and how to stay connected to your community.
I mean that's a really really big issue because we're gonna go how to build a local support system for you yourself your family, and how do you handle say a brother who just refuses to change, right? Because if he's isolating himself and he's doing something for his own not his own good, and he needs help, and maybe it also could be you. How do you deal with that kind of situation? That's what me and Doc is going to be going over today because a lot of the times people like this. And are you a good friend? Do you have a good bunch of brothers? Sometimes you might have to audit the friends that you have with now, like my two brothers right here watching live on TikTok. What's up, Ibanez? What's up, Castro? Castro used to be my workmate at Cosmo, Dorman. But this is where we're gonna go dive deep because a lot of men nowadays don't have that type of circle.
Yeah.
It's really rare, and it's really becoming a epidemic to that point. Doc, take it away while I get this thing all situated. Turn on comments, probably some other comments. If you have any comments, we want to get them answered live. Go on to our Facebook page. It is streaming on Facebook, YouTube, IG, and TikTok. TikTok, I can't see the questions, but if you go to the other social media platforms, pop them in there. We'll get them questions answered in live or at the end.
Yeah. Well, if you are on TikTok, we can see what if you put any questions in there. I'll try to keep an eye on it. We can respond to that. But so I guess the first thing we guys need to talk about, we can talk about a number of things. We're going to talk about the blueprint on how you can actually create community, what that looks like. Then we're going to be talking about the how do you deal with conflict within your community, and then we're going to move into the vulnerability within the community, and then we're going to talk about how you build legacy and continue to grow and build that community, right? So first and foremost, we'll talk about the blueprint, right? How do we actually build community? What does it even look like, right? Especially in today's age, 2026 technology age, what does it look like? Back in the day, we were all sitting around the campfire, telling stories, working in the fields, helping each other. There was a lot of time spent together, right? We ate together, we worked together, we raised our children together. We fought wars together. Like, we were always doing things together. So the community, it was always there. And it's only in recent times, probably in the last 100 years or so, if not maybe even a little bit more than that, that we started to move away from the community, from growing, from connecting with one another. And I personally believe that there's an intention behind that. And I won't go into all of that because I'm probably going to develop like the whole series about like a conspiracy theory series on how they broke down just society in order to control us, starting with the men. But I do believe, there was this separation when we started separating from one another. We stopped being real with one another. We stopped being vulnerable with one another. We started disconnecting. We got lost in work. We got lost in the rat race. Then they started, glorifying the struggle of doing it alone and always, when you real men do it alone. And I think that message is so twisted because it was never like that in all of history. It was never like that in all of history. They even have the saying that, no man's an island, no man stands alone. My dad, that was one of the last things my dad actually told me. And, so we believe this lie, though, that to be a real man, you got to stand on your own 2 feet and do this and do that. And also, let's just take it away. It's to be an adult, you stand on your own 2 feet. It has nothing to do with gender. Men and women should be standing on their own 2 feet. They should have their own job, their place to live, their own money. They should have that. That's an adult thing, but when it comes to being a man, we actually need community, right? It's not saying like you run around and have the handout, but it's saying that we're connecting, we're in community, we're talking, we're growing, we're looking out for one another. And so when it comes to building that community, the first thing you have to start doing is, for one, look at your community, right? Look at yourself. What do you like? What don't you like? And what things are you attached to already? Do you go to church? Are you on a sports team? Are you in a community? Are you in a fraternity? Are you on like a business development course? Are you in a mastermind? Like, where are your natural communities already, right? Where are the places where you can connect already? Do you like playing Dungeons and Dragons? Do you like cosplay? Whatever you like, right? That's going to draw you to wherever your community is going to be, right? So that's the first thing. Identify the things that you like, the things that you enjoy, the things that you're already connected to. And then once you do that, look and see, okay, what does that look like in my area, right? I want to say that's the first thing. You talk about blueprints, the first thing you want to do. Finding people like that, right? Finding communities and groups like that, And Gordon, I don't know if you want to say something to that.
Oh, no, absolutely. Because a lot of the times you need community to help you raise you up and pull you up into certain aspects of your life. Because no matter what phase you are in life, if you try to do it alone, you're only hindering yourself from any type of progressive, or goal setting that you want to hit. Because take it from me, you can't do it alone. And there's going to be a difference between accountability and entitlement. And then how are you going to distinguish that between a man who wants to change and who a man who just wants benefit for the situations, right? We talked about this earlier before, because a lot of men just like to take. Or if you're not a lot of men, but some men just like to take and use and abuse and everything else. It's like women because they have no validation for themselves, right?
Mm.
Now, when you do an audit and you think about building your local support system, what does that entail from your side?
Yeah. I would say you ask yourself, what do you need? What are you looking for
Mm.
as well? Right. Because every group is not for everything. I think that is critical to understand. Right. If you're on a sports team and you need spiritual like guidance and discipline, it's probably not the best place to get it. So that's another aspect of it as well. Building your community. Your community is built up of different groups of men. Not all men.
Yep.
Like if you come to me for business, I can help you a little bit, but I'll be honest, I'm still trying to build my own. I want to be around people who've built businesses, people who've done that, right? If you're looking for more like, connection and, personal like growth and things like that, you probably want to find some type of therapy group, some type of coaching group, something along those lines, right? So ask yourself the question, what exactly do I need? What am I looking for? What kind of connection am I looking to make? And then depending on that, that's where you go and do that. I know for me personally, I need to be more active, right? And I
Okay.
also want to make sure that I'm not just, teaching people things that I'm not doing myself. So I went out there and joined the kickball league, right? I,
Right.
I like kickball. It's a lot harder than you expect, though, at least for me. But but I love it. I love it, right? I want to get better at it. I like that community. I like the people. I like it all. So,
Yeah.
that's what I needed, right? But if I need support for like for therapy or something like that, like what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to my group of men who are therapists. I'm gonna go talk to them. I'm gonna share things with
Mm.
them. So you have to also identify what exactly do you need, right? And then go to that group to get what you need. Maybe it's enjoyment, right? It's gonna be connection across the board, right? You're gonna connect with all these people across the board, but you have to ask yourself the question, what do I need? And then you find that group and build that group. And I think also, Gordon, you mentioned like doing an audit. Another part to this as well, called like maybe an offshoot, but look at who you have in your circle right now. Who are the people in your phone? Who are the people you've talked to about deep things before? Who are the people that's like, yeah, when it comes to being open and honest and vulnerable, I'm scared to open up to a lot of people. Fine. But do you have like one or two or three people in your life that you can go to and share anything with, and they're going to keep it real with you? Because that's another aspect
That's
as well.
big. Yep.
Community doesn't necessarily have to be this big group of people. You could have, again, like I said, you have who you need for each part of your life. But when it comes to like the real deep stuff, you might only need one or two people. Someone who's going to be honest with you, real with you. They're going to help you, they're going to support you, they're going to build you up. So you need to ask yourself that question: what exactly do I need? What need needs to be met? Right? Maybe it's my weight, and I need to go to a diamond gym to have someone, jump on my head. Some people need that, right?
Some people do need that.
Some people do need that, right? Some people love that. They don't take offense to it. Other people maybe not, but that's a
Right.
real thing. Maybe you need a David Goggins to push you beyond your limits and to the point where you're about to die. And then he says, "Get up. We got 5 more miles or 10 more miles." Like some people need that, right? So you need to ask yourself that question, especially if you feel you're in a spot where fear is holding you back, or you don't want to get uncomfortable and things like that. Because I will say this: every group you're in should push you in some kind of way. And
Oh,
either
absolutely.
it should be an internal drive to get better, or someone on the outside should be, hey, listen, you can get better. Hey, let's help you get there. You know?
I mean, a lot for me. A lot of the times, because I've been with so many different type of men. I've been with gangsters. I've been gangbangers. I've been with people that do fraud. I've been people that do sports. Played professional sports with some other people. Did some other things. Worked out. I have a vast variety from left to right and 360 degrees that goes all around. The one thing that stays in common is everybody wants to be attached to somebody that they can relate to, right? No matter like if you're in business, you're in counseling. Like for me and Doc, we want to help kids, we want to help men, we gravitate to that. I also have another group that we just do AI shit. You know what I mean? And I have another group that's just business mastermind stuff. And then I have
Mm-hmm.
another group that we do copywriting, business, marketing, and all this other stuff. And then I have another group of just ex-felons, which is in itself ridiculously crazy. But then I don't stick to be in a lone wolf mentality because if I'm isolating myself from that, I'm not growing as a man, also as a person, right?
Yeah.
And then it, even though Andrew might say I don't do it, right? It's all about, it helps me become a better husband, father, and people to everybody that's coming in about, right?
Hmm.
Now, when you navigate through conflicts in brotherhood, in friendships, right? Right. If a man realizes he has no circle, what is the step by step process to getting to that point?
Well, honestly, I mean, we're in the day age of information. Information is not a problem. Um, I looked up online, found a kickball group like that. Literally took me no more than about 5-10 minutes. So we can't use the excuse that we don't know anymore.
Oh yeah,
AI,
no, yeah,
search
yeah.
engines, the excuse of I don't know or I can't find the answer, things like that. Can't use that anymore. Whatever you want, especially depending on. Well, and also, I'll also say this. Let me actually pause. Let me actually pause because we live in Vegas. Vegas has everything, literally everything, right? So some people might be watching from afar and be like, Keith, you don't get it. Gordon, you don't get it. I'm in a small podunk town of like 120 people, and the highlight of our week is church. Like that's it. We don't have really
Yeah.
anything else, right? We don't have kickball groups or fraternity groups or all these other groups or organizations to join. It's just that, right? So I also want to be mindful of that and those people in those situations. However, like we said before, you could actually start that group. You could become the thing that you need
Become
to
the group. Yep.
become that, right? There's
We're
lots of
doing it.
exactly right. You
We're
don't
we're literally doing
if you
it.
see the void, then you make that and fill the void. There's lots of people who've done that, lots of groups that are formed out of that. Where maybe it's just, hey guys, why don't you come over to my house? Let's just hang out. Let's, play, that game where you throw the bean bag into the hole. Let's watch a sport. Let's just talk and hang out. Let's work on the car. Whatever. You can actually create that group. It's not hard. We as men want to connect, right? And we have to, I'd have also, it's very important, you have to move away from the mindset of, oh, well, I got to take care of my family. And anytime away from my family, that's a bad thing. No, you need to take time away from your family. You
You
do.
need to.
I
Yeah.
promise you that they will be all right. I promise you they'll be all right. I'm not talking about all this time. I'm not talking about be gone all the
not
time. None of
not run
that,
away. Not
but
desert
like,
them.
exactly, but it's like, yeah, no, me
Not
and the guys
that.
are going to go meet up. We're going to go do this. And then as much as possible, if you can plan it around a time that's low impact on the family, that's even better. But we need to have that time. So I'd say the first step is, find a group that it's in your area, right? And if you don't see a group, create a group, right? And let people know, right? Advertise it. Advertise it. Again, if you're in a small town, advertising your church, advertising your community center, advertising in your school, advertise it wherever you are, right? So advertise it, get it out there, and be that change. But again, if you don't have to do that, just find the group you're looking for that based on the needs that you have, and then engage in that group. Go to that group. Be open and talk in that group. Connect with that group. Learn the people's names. Like just it's not it's. I don't mean to minimize anybody, but it's not rocket science. It's not. You go there, you shit. Don't worry about home. Well, what if they think this about me? What if they think that about me? Listen, you're just going in. Hey, how y'all doing? This is my name. I'm Keith. Hey, nice to meet you. Hey, great job. You did great. Whatever the group is, hey, I love to help. Hey, excellent job. Just be a good, kind person and then just start talking to people and asking questions. That's
Well, I'll
it.
give you a perfect
You know?
example. Right. I'll give you a perfect example. So the other day at Real Talk Youth Program, I had 28 parents in a room. If you've seen it, because we was like, okay, parents group is gonna go over here and follow Gordon. And like, holy smokes, they went half the room. And then
Yeah.
it was standing room only the other night. And then for us to be vulnerable as convicts, as men, as therapists, as everybody talking in that thing, it does take a lot out of you. And then for I have to redefine my strength as having the emotional intelligence to not always react to things, to also activate my listening skills so I can actually give good counsel in that sense, right? Because
Mhm.
a lot of men nowadays, you mean the nuances of vulnerability isn't, we see the things with, the alpha male on YouTube, these guys, da 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 da. I get that part, but how does a man balance traditional stoicism with emotional intelligence required for long-term relationships with their brothers?
Well, So let me wrap a couple of things in there, right? We're talking about vulnerability and handling conflict within a group. So first things first, you got to learn to listen. That that
Absolutely.
that's key, right?
Don't.
Most conflict happens because people don't listen. They're not trying to understand. That's why most conflict in the world happens. That's it. It's
Right.
because people are not listening. They're not trying to understand. So the first thing is listen. What's the grief? What's the problem? What's the issue? Because and then
Yep.
validate whatever that is, right? You may not necessarily agree, but it's not about agreeing. It's about simply what is the issue? What's the problem? And it's like, okay, I can validate that. I can see that. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Now we can start addressing the issue and handling it, right? So there really shouldn't,
Yep.
especially in men's group, there really shouldn't be any grief or drama. Like, guys, this isn't Real Housewives of Atlanta. This isn't Real Housewives of Orange County. Like, it shouldn't be like that. I don't know any.
Oh,
There's no group of men I've ever been in where I've actually, to be honest, I've never really had conflict, right? Not saying we didn't have different ideas on things, but conflict like, oh man, I can't believe he said that and how dare he did. No, why? Why would there need to be conflict? You have your idea and your perspective. Okay, I hear you. I see where you're coming from. Hey, this is where I'm coming from. Okay, we may not agree. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. There's the group of black male therapists that I'm in, right? And
right.
so some of us we love AI. Some of us not so much, right? So what do?
Okay.
We talk about it. They share their issues and things about it or whatnot. Hey, validate that. Makes sense. I can see where you're coming from with that. Hey,
Right.
but this is how we use this, is our perspective, and da 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 da. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Always have to change their mind or have my mind change. It's just, hey, we're sharing ideas. But like you said, this is how we
Beautiful.
grow. This is how we get
Right.
better. So it just
Yeah.
there shouldn't be any conflict like that, right?
Yeah.
And if it's different ideas, like, oh, let's say you guys are trying to accomplish something. Well, why are we fighting? If we want the same thing, let's say you're on a sports team, why am I fighting with you? If
Yep.
we want the same thing, let's just look at our ideas, right? Is my idea better? Is your idea better? What helps us to get to the goal? Who cares where the idea comes from? If it
Yep.
comes from a 2-year-old on the sideline and they say, kick the ball instead of trying to go another play, and that's the best option, then kick the ball, right? So there shouldn't be conflict like that at all, to be 100%
Mm-hmm.
honest. And if you really want to avoid it, just listen to understand and not respond, and then just validate people's experience, right? And whether you agree or not, you can say, hey, I don't necessarily agree with that, but because this is where I'm coming from, but hey, I hear where you're coming from. That's it. No need for drama, no need for all that. And Tim said that, and Tyrone said that, and I don't want to deal with them. And that. Come on, man. We're not in high school anymore, man. We're not in grade school, man. We're grown men. We're grown adults. We can keep it a buck, right? And of course, being sure you're communicating properly, right? Because if you're coming off as like a jerk or an a-hole, then yeah, you need to fix that, right? And the people aren't going to connect with you like that. So that's another thing, show yourself friendly. The Bible says those who, if you want friends, show yourself friendly. So be what you want, right? If you want someone to be understanding and caring and hear you out, be that, right? So that's that aspect. Now, the other aspect, the whole stoicism thing, right? When it comes to vulnerability and things of that nature, for one, make sure if you're going to be vulnerable in a group, make sure it's the right group. Not
I was
every
about to
group
say, yep.
is designed for vulnerability. Again, like I
Right.
said before, different groups for different things. You probably shouldn't be in your business mastermind being vulnerable about your relationship. That's not what we're here for. And on top
Exactly.
of that, those aren't necessarily relationship experts. They may say, hey, cheat on your wife. Make my life easier. I'm happy. I'm getting it on the side. I go home. She starts to trip. I'm not pressed by it, I just probably not the best place to do that. So you got to make sure you're careful about where you're vulnerable. Now, when it comes to stoicism, you've heard me talk about it before. It's not a bad thing. It's just not the
Mm,
only thing, right?
yes.
Stoicism
Yes.
is it's essentially the emotional state where you can lock down your emotions, right, and be very logical in the moment to achieve a certain goal, right? That's what stoicism, the emotion of stoicism, is for. It's like, okay, I feel some kind of way about that. Like, for instance, again, you playing sports, I just messed up, right? Okay, what do I need to do to get better? As a matter of fact, that's what
Right.
I did last night. I was playing kickball last night. I did terrible, terrible. Missed one ball, didn't call another one, got 2 outs. I did terrible last night, right? Maybe it was 3 outs. But was I in my head like, oh my gosh, oh, it sucks so bad. What do they think about me? Oh, no. I sat back down. I'm like, dang, that sucks, man. What did I do wrong? dang, I should have kicked it like that. Man, I need training. Man, that's stoicism. How can I achieve the goal? Right now, after the game, that's when I started doing the reflecting. Man, wow, why was I thinking that? What was I feeling? Da, 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 whatever, whatever. So that's where you use stoicism, right?
Okay.
We're trying to achieve a goal. We're trying to get something done. I cannot allow my emotions to take over and run wild right now. I need those to stay down. Insecurity or fear or doubt. I need that stuff to stay down, stay away. I'm in the game now. I'm in the mode. We're trying to accomplish something, right? Afterwards, we could talk about emotions. So it's about learning when to use it. And so when it comes to
Mm,
groups, it also
mm,
depends on what you're
yeah.
doing. So, like I said before, if the goal is to achieve something, then stop getting in your feelings about they don't like my idea. Is your idea a great idea? And if it is, make sure you push it. And if it's not, hear them out. I'll give you a perfect
Absolutely.
example, right? I was another example. I was working at Johns Hopkins at one point in time, and I was over the health unit there, and we were trying to create a schedule for the people on the unit, right? The different workers on the unit. Two people had a great idea, right? Now, granted, maybe this isn't the best example because actually the other person who had the emotional issue was a woman, but 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 what happened was the guy had the better idea. Her idea was not as good as his. His idea gave people more time off. Hers didn't. So I chose his idea. She didn't
Right.
like it. She threw a fit. She did all this, got all in her feelings, all in her emotions. Why? Because she wasn't thinking about the overall goal and the overall
The
plan,
bigger picture.
the big picture, right? How this is going to help everybody. It was just about, well, you
Right.
didn't take my idea, and I don't like that, and so now I'm going to pitch a fit. But she ended up leaving after that. But long story short, there's some guys we do the same thing. To be honest,
Absolutely.
the exact same
Yeah.
thing. We get in our feelings, and it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't they listen to me? And they should have listened to me, and all this and all that. And you have to ask yourself the question: did you actually press your idea? Well, for one, was your idea a great idea? And if it was, why didn't you press it? If the mission is that important, why didn't you press it? Are you scared they're going to say something? Are you scared about conflict? Like, why didn't you press
Mm,
the idea? Right? Because now everyone's going to suffer because of your insecurities or whatever issue you had. So just thinking about that. So how this all ties in, stoicism is what you need in a moment like this. I cannot
okay.
get in my feelings. What is the overall mission? What's the overall goal? Right? Then I'll give you one last example, then we'll move forward. I remember we were when me and Gordon were first starting out with Boundaries and Brotherhood, right? And he came to me about he was like, yeah, I mean, me and my wife were watching one of your videos, and it seemed like you were all over the place. And at first, the emotions rose up. Was like, I wasn't all over the place. What is he talking about? I had right? But stoicism kicked in. Well, let me actually take that into consideration. I do need to make sure I have structure in these things, right? And maybe the structure I had wasn't necessarily the right structure, right? So I need to get better. Was it comfortable? No, but we need that. We need that, right? That's how we grow. That's how we get better. If he's just, fluffing me up like, oh, yeah, you're the greatest. How can I grow? How can I get better?
Yep.
So that's where stoicism comes into these group settings when you're thinking about trying to achieve something. What am I trying to do? All right. And you put those emotions to the side. So it is critical to have, but it shouldn't be everything. It shouldn't be everything. I just
It
want to
shouldn't
make
be
sure
everything.
I know
Correct. Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times it's like when you get feedback, right? The feedback and advice you get from other men that you respect, or they command respect, or they might be doing something that you want to attain to.
Yeah.
They've been through it, right? Like,
Mhm.
like it's same thing. Like when mentoring, there's a difference between mentoring and being a coach. A mentor can walk you through, tell you what you're doing wrong, and maybe give you some advice. A coach will bring the best potential out of you because he sees things that you cannot see.
Mhm.
Tom Brady has a coach. LeBron James has a shooting coach. A lot of these professional athletes is at the top of the game. They're at the best. Still have coaches. Still have people they respect because I'll give you a perfect example. If Doc tells me about a situation is that I'm going to take that into a lot of consideration because
Mhm.
of what I get from this man, vice versa. And
Mhm.
in the beginning, when you gain trust and you do all this stuff, and you mean it's not I'm gonna see who's got the biggest thing between their legs and their ego, even though it might be you might be a certain season in your life where I was that type of guy, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't get you anywhere because the guy could be telling you, hey, you better stop doing what you're doing because they're all over your ass. I'm hearing it. but I want to be hard-headed and thinking I'll pay somebody off or be the shit and do all the things and then get cracked in my head and don't get to see nobody for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. Is it extreme? But it's the same thing. Hey, you when you have a brotherhood or friendship that might be even small, that's going to tell you like it is, it's going to hurt in the beginning. It's uncomfortable. It's abrasive. It's all that good
Mhm.
stuff. But good men help good friends become better every single day.
That's true. It's very true.
100%.
That's
Because
very
they
true.
can see something you might not be able to see because you might be emotionally attached or stuck in that behavior,
Yeah.
right?
Very true.
Once you're stuck in that behavior, you're stuck. Now, saying all of that, oh, I almost went off, right, Doc? I almost went off. I caught myself, right? How does a man shift his mindset that he doesn't have to do it alone and accept the brotherhood?
Well, first accept the truth that we're not designed to do it alone. That's a
Ooh,
foundational
that's
truth.
deep. Yep,
That's
that's deep.
an objective truth, right? It's not
Yes.
subjective. It's not from me. That's an objective truth that we are not designed to do life alone. We are not designed to struggle alone. That's why we struggle so much nowadays, because we're trying to do something we're not designed to do, right? If you try to wash your clothes in your dishwasher, it's not going to work. It's not designed to wash clothes, right? It's just not. So we are trying to do life alone, and we're not designed to do it alone. So you have to accept that truth. Abandon the whole,
Mm,
oh yeah, I gotta be a man and do it all by myself, and I'm an alpha or a sigma, or that's what a real man does. That's garbage. I keep trying to tell you guys that stuff is garbage. We need each other. Period. Point blank. End the discussion. Now, does that mean we got to be in each other's face 24/7? No, it's not that's not what it means. Does that
yeah,
mean we need
no.
to get together and and talk from time to time? Talk on the phone, gather together in a group, go on a vacation or a retreat or something like that. Like, yeah, we probably should. That's a great idea, right? Because there's some things that we might be working on, things we're dealing with, things we're struggling with, that they may be able not just to hold you accountable, but actually give you pretty good advice, to help
Yep.
save your relationship, save your business, save your time with your kids, whatever it might be. Right. So it's critical for us to be able to first accept that truth that we are not designed to do it alone. And once we accept that truth, we then move on to the next step is, well, since I'm not designed to do it alone, I need to now connect. I'm not going to go back through everything about how to connect because we already talked about
Right.
that. But we need to then go and connect. What kind of connection do I need? Where am I faltering in my life? And where are the people who are being successful? And let me get around those people. I was working with someone who creates content, and guess what? They have a group of people who are also content creators. Why?
Mhm.
Because they can feed off each other. They can congratulate one another. They can lift each other up. Their success. They can share those. That community is necessary, right? Because being a content creator, if anyone is, it could be a very lonely experience, especially if you don't have like a team or anything like that. It can be a very
Yeah.
lonely experience. So to have that connection, that camaraderie with other people that are doing a like thing, it's really, really helpful. So you put that into any other context, whether it's business or your faith or whatever, community engagement, it's the same exact thing, right? So find people that again can help you in whatever area that you need help with, right? And make that connection. Talk,
Well,
connect, trade phone numbers,
it's
Instagram,
kind of
whatever.
hard because, oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, but it's like what I tell a lot of people when they ask me, like I got a lot of guys that's dormant and work at the Cosmo. Some of these guys in here right now been in prison. The number one thing I miss about prison guys and my work is the boys, the camaraderie, the
Yep.
belonging together with the boys, to talk shit, to talk all this stuff, talk about life, talk about the things that we talk about. Because I don't have that now because I'm dedicated this to helping a brotherhood, but I still have my circle that I do talk to, Doc, Carrie, online, in person, doing things. I mean, the communication helps because even though the situation was bad going to prison, you learn a lot about yourself and who you connect to inside prison, right? And you
Mhm.
carry that to the outside because you got some guys who's going to be a wreck. They're going to be dope addicts again. They're going to do crime. They're going to. So you got to set yourself up with a circle that's going to bring you up. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of us went to a program, right? And while we was in when we first coming back, and I carry that over because when you look at your friendships and your things, and you have friends that's going to point you in the wrong direction, who's it up to you to draw that line, that boundary, right?
Yeah.
It's up to you, right?
Yeah.
Because you know what happens next. Now, in the situation with my guys at work at the Cosmopolitan, it was just that time for me to move on and do things, and things just fall in my lap, right? Oh, talk about that. Don't forget, we'll be at booth 5562 in the snacks convention. If you see, let's get it straight right here. If you see an Alert Pop mascot walking around Las Vegas Boulevard making content and it doesn't have my face, I'm that dude in there, just to let you know. But no, it was a good showing. But understand that I get to be, because I'm not seeking validation, because the friendships I have is solid, right?
Mhm.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. In fact, what was the next part? Is it legacy and mentorship? Are we on?
Yeah.
Right. The
Mhm.
purpose of legacy and mentorship, transitioning from, say, the person is, what is the word? Mentee, receiving support, to becoming a mentor. Like,
Mm.
for me, if I'm teaching somebody the things I know, I get better at it because I like to
Mhm.
pour into people. And it's the
Yeah.
same you have to do for other people, because the more you teach, the better you get, because you see a different angle, right?
It's true.
Let me ask you this. What are some of the questions you should ask yourself or in your group, right? That will actually help you and the person you want to be. What would be your top three questions?
Top three
Maybe the
questions.
ones that you're even in your head, right?
Top three questions to ask in your group to truly grow, right?
Yeah.
Um, I wonder if I want to say it really depends on the group, but if I had to generalize it, they're going to be all vulnerability questions, right? So the first one is, you guys know me. Where do you see where I'm falling short and I'm not executing? Really
Mm,
asking them to do an
that's a
inventory on
good
you, a
one. Yep.
legit inventory on you, right? So they can tell you where you're falling short. And the follow-up question is, what what have you guys done, or what do you guys think I should do, to help break through that, right? Because it's not enough just to
Oh,
identify
that's
what the
good.
problem or the issue is, but we also have to identify what we can do to solve that problem. And mind you, in this process, I do not want you making excuses as to why it can't be done, right? You got to shift your mindset. You can't be in this victim mentality where it's like, well, I tried this, that never works, something never works. That's a big turnoff for guys that are trying to pour into you, especially if they're really trying to help you. They're gonna
Yeah.
be like, get out of here,
Big,
man. You really want help. You don't really
big,
want. If you're gonna sit here and
big.
talk about all this, how it can never work and how you tried everything, because if you tried everything, then you wouldn't be in this situation. So you must have an open mindset. You must go into it open, and you have to say, hey, let me try something different. Maybe shift my perspective. Instead of looking at it from how it can't work, let me look at it from how it can work. So first question is, where am I falling short? Second question, what can be done to get to where I need to be? And then the third question, I would say, I don't want to really overlap, but if I say the third question is, how do you guys overcome things when you're scared, right? When you have anxiety, when you're
Okay.
procrastinating. I think having that conversation as well, because everybody has anxiety, everybody has fear, right? It's a part of the natural human development. It's not a personality thing or anything along those lines. It's just an emotion. We all have it, right? How do you deal with that? Because a lot of times that's what holds us back. That's what keeps us back from growing.
Oh,
That's what keeps us from connecting. That's what keeps us from being better husbands, better men, better fathers, better businessmen. It's a fear. So asking and having that conversation in the group about how you deal with fear, so you can get different perspectives, and you might find something that might work, or you might piecemeal together something to help you start breaking through these different barriers, right? So that I would
100%.
say,
Yeah.
if I had to say three questions, I would say those would probably be the questions you would absolutely want to ask yourself. And I think that they would be applicable to any group you're in, whether it's a sports group, faith group, community group, whatever.
Anything.
I believe those would work across the board. So the first one, just quick recap. Where do you see me falling short? Where do you see me not living up to my potential? What do you guys think I can do to get to that potential, right? And how do you handle fear? So I think those three questions in any group, I think that would be go a very, very long way, because then that's what kicks into, and we'll go into how we'll turn it from the mentee to the mentor, but that's where you'll start seeing people start teaching, you'll start learning, you'll start growing, you'll start changing, you'll start becoming
Yeah.
better, right? That's when that starts to happen. And once you continuously refine yourself and get better and actually act upon the things that they're saying, right? You must act upon the things they're saying. It's not just taking it in. That's a good word. That's a good da. No, you have to actually execute. Because once you start
Yeah.
executing, that's
Yeah.
when you start changing. That's when you start getting better. And you keep doing that over and over and over again. You compile all these experiences. You're going to compile all this progress, and then eventually other people are going to come into the group. And now you're going to be moved from the mentor to, the mentee to the mentor. You're going to start having legacy. Now you're going to start teaching other guys that
Yep.
are coming asking the same questions. Hey, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to think. This is how you need to move. This is how you need to act. This is how you need to respond. This is how you need to behave in your marriage and your relationship. That's what ends up happening, right? And then something else, I think it's critically important for all of us as men. We need to continuously grow and develop. We need to read. We need to watch good quality things that fill us, that pour us, that allow us to change, so we can actually bring better information, better material, better answers to the group. So it's not just about life.
Mm,
It's about actually
nice.
growing
Yep.
and learning and adding to your knowledge base. So whether that it's, again, reading books, watching podcasts, going to seminars, going to workshops, whatever it is, you need to continuously build and learn and grow, because you're going to be able to take that and use that to help somebody else later on. Because I tell you right now, I'm the man I am right now. A big portion of it is because of all the extra learning and reading I was doing, on my own, and applying it to my life on my own. So now I can actually be on a podcast like this and then give you guys these answers and give you this perspective, because it's not just me and my life. It's actually coming from other people's lives, other people's experience, other people's research, to help you give you the actual information you need to change your life right now. Essentially becoming what I needed when I was in your situation.
Right. I was just about to say it. The best person you can become is become the man that you needed when you was going through it.
Mhm.
Because if you was in a situation and you were the man looking for an answer or a mentor or a coach or something, we right now are the men that we needed back then.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to share the message. Because a lot of the times, I'll give you a perfect example about that was a perfect analogy for it. Because let's say I'll give you to you straight, like I was saying, right? When I came out, right, they told me I couldn't work at the strip, doc. They said they don't hire the strip, they won't hire ex-felons, they don't do anything, especially at the hotel. You can't even get in the door, right?
Mhm.
What did I do, doc? I ended up getting some of my guys here can test, and they couldn't figure out how did I get a job at the premier high-end value job coming out of prison with my ankle bracelet, because I honestly didn't give a rat's ass what people told me. I just said, this is what has to be done. I have to do it. I have to. 6 interviews later and a group interview. And then here came the worst part, Doc. When it said on my application, have you ever been convicted of a felony, this and that? I'm supposed to check yes, right?
Mhm.
I did check yes, raise my hand because it wouldn't let me pass. I
Mm.
said, everything I did right here up to this point, like acceptance letter, everything. And that's when I got scared because, like, oh, this is what's going to bite me in the ass.
Mm.
I told the lady, she goes, how long ago was your conviction? I said, it's been over 10 years. She goes, that's okay. Boom. And I went through the next round. Met my manager the same day.
Mhm.
He said, when my NCIS report for all my convictions in 14 pages, doc. He said, the hotel
Mhm.
don't need to know about this. And he shredded it. Bam! In front of my face. He goes, I believe in giving second chances and you passed everything and you weren't scared. And here's where it got me the job, doc. He said, what is your shortfalls? And I told him straight, I have anger management issues. But if you ask me a question, I will tell you the honest, brutal truth. He looked at me. That's the best answer anybody gave me. And he goes, you're hired. I was like, you for real? He said, yeah, you just got to go see this other guy. The other guy is now he's the one that runs the palms.
Yeah.
Talk about being scared with an ankle bracelet. The halfway house, federal, the Bureau of Prisons did not believe I got this job, doc. They wanted to stop me from getting it. They sent two case managers to tell them, "You really want this guy?" He said, "No, we want him." And that's when you look at the life that you lead. If you look at the life that you've led up to this point,
Mhm.
you have so much to give, guys. You have so much to give to somebody else that you could mentor, you could coach, you could guide, right?
Yeah.
Why not do it and do it with a group of friends that have the camaraderie to be that person? Because that's what
Yeah.
we want for you, right?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, doc. We just blew past that thing again.
Sure did. We're on schedule though.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. But guys, we just want to say this, right? Boundaries and Brotherhood website is up. Boundaries and Brotherhood Authority Center blog center is up. Workshops page to get to join is up, right? We've been working. We have another podcast that's going to be up and live also called It Takes a Village pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
So things are moving in the right direction. Doc, any closing remarks that you might have for the rest of the group and what we will be going over maybe next week?
So my closing remark was, please don't make any excuses as to why you can't connect with somebody, right? Why you
Ooh,
can't
yeah.
make a connection. Guys, you can make a connection, right? There somewhere in your town, in your city, in your community, wherever, you can make a connection. You're not void of likes. You're not void of interest. You're
Mm,
not void, like, you know, you're not, right? There are things that you like, there's things that you need, and do an honest inventory, right? An honest inventory of yourself and say, hey, what do I need? Where can, iron sharpen iron? And, I'm dull right now. I'm rusty right now. I need somewhere where I can be sharpened. Where can I go and get that? And then again, understand that change is not comfortable. Change is not comfortable, but it's not supposed to be. Comfort comfort is designed for rest. I need you to understand this right now. I actually did a whole Bible study on this before about, how we need to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because the
mm.
purpose of comfort is to rest so you can recharge, so that you can get back out there into the world, keep fighting, keep growing, keep moving forward. Think of like your life like this, and think of comfort like this, right? If you're trying to make it across the United States, right? It's a long journey. It's taxing. It takes a lot, but you make progress. But every now and then, you gotta stop and you rest at the hotel or at Airbnb or wherever, right? Get some gas, get some food. That's comfort. Why are you doing that? Because you need to rest, you need to recharge, you need to rejuvenate. Why do you need to rest, recharge, and rejuvenate? So you can rest, recharge, and rejuvenate? Seriously, ask yourself that question. Am I resting, to recharging, rejuvenating so I can rest, recharge, and rejuvenate? No, you rest, recharge, and rejuvenate so you can get back on the road, so you can go on the journey, which is uncomfortable. It's tight in the car. It's long. You got to hold using. You have to go into the bathroom, and then you got the kids in the back, and you got all the. It's uncomfortable. That's life. You don't
Life.
stop. You keep going, but there's gonna be moments of comfort, right? But you use that comfort in order to get back out there. So what I'm saying is, don't get stuck in your routines and say, well, I just kind of like how life is right now. No, you need to get out there. Where do you need to grow? Where do you need to get better? What other men do you need to be around? Who do you need to spend time with? Like, you need to get out there. Some of your wives have probably told you need to get out there. You don't need to be around. Get out of the house. Go shoe. Go bowl. Go get with your friends. Hop on the game. Like, get out of here. Like, we need to go and connect. Like, that's a loving way to say you need to go and connect. Right. So don't make excuses. Don't talk about your work schedule. Everybody has work. Right. I don't know. At least I don't know any men that don't have work. Right. But they still go and connect. Right. So don't do that. Well, I got my family. Many men have families. That's not an excuse. Oh, well, but my money. There's lots of free stuff out there. Oh, well, but stop making excuses. Right.
Take the money out of it.
Just
Take
take
the money
all
out of
that
it.
stuff out. Just,
Yeah.
I need to connect. How do I go about doing that? Point blank, period, end of discussion. And because when you set your mind on doing something and you really believe that you can do it, then you will find a way to do it one way or the other. right? There are people that are way busier than all of us that make time for all of this.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely. Yes.
They work
Yep.
out, they run a multi-million-dollar business, they have a family, they connect with people, they make time for all of that. We all have the same 24 hours a day. And so for you to say you can't do it, you're essentially saying it's not possible, but we now know it is possible. So if it is possible,
Impossible.
right now you're just making excuses. So no excuses. We're not designed to be alone. We're designed to connect. We're designed to be around those who can sharpen us and build us up. And then the one last thing, make sure the groups that you're in are in line with your values and your
Values.
standards, right? There's no reason for you to be, maybe your group is in the club. You probably shouldn't be in the club, right? Nothing good happens in the club. Nothing good happens in the club. Drugs, sex, alcohol, none of that stuff is good. Hookup culture,
Shootings.
diseases, shooting, you name it, right? Fights. That's not
Fentanyl.
the quality of people.
Jail.
Look at your standards. Look at your beliefs. Where do you stand? I was talking to someone the other day. I was talking to a woman. She was saying, I never seen a good man. And I said, I'll be honest, I never seen a bad one. Right? In my circle, I know bad men exist. Men that have no vision, men that have no drive, men that are using people, manipulating, that are mean and abusive. The bad men do exist. Abandon their children. They rape and molest. It hurt people. Bad men do exist. I'm telling you right now, I've never had one in my circle. And the reason why, you're like, well, Keith, how would you know? Well, listen, for what I could see in interactions and where they are now, business owners, doctors, lawyers, engineers, family men, married for all this time, being their good fathers. Why? Because I have a standard. I don't keep people around me that don't meet that standard. If you're lying and bumming around and doing those things, you're not going to be in my circle. I'm not going to connect with you. I can't connect with you. If you want real mentorship, though, I can pour into you if you're really willing to change. But a lot of times those guys aren't really trying to change. So I don't have those guys in my circle. I just don't. And I have no intention of ever having guys like that in my circle because I have a standard. I have beliefs and values that I uphold. So think about it along those lines as well. See, if you go around to these groups, there might be certain pockets in those groups that don't live up to those standards. So you probably shouldn't be hanging around with them. So really important, make sure you not only know your standards and your boundaries and your values and beliefs, but also make sure you uphold them and you get around people with like-minded, right? Denzel Washington said, like, if you're in a group of 5 friends and you're the one of them and 4 of them become millionaires, you'll probably become the 5th. If you're in a group of 5 friends and 4 of them are criminals, you'll probably be the 5th, right? The birds of a feather flock together. I think the Bible has a scripture about that as well. But long story short, that's what happens. So think about in those lines, the people you're around, the people that you're in life right now in your circle, do an audit, like Gordon was saying. Do these people live up to my standards and values? Are these people in accordance to that? And if not, then you need to get around people who are, or people who have a higher standard than you so they can bring you up. There's the other saying that if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to change rooms.
Yep.
You can't grow. Right? You need to continuously grow and move and go forward. So I would say that I'll just kind of close out with that. Make sure you know your values, your standards, your morals, and your beliefs, and uphold that so you can get around good quality men who could actually pour into you, not men that are going to tear your life down and tear your life apart and leave you broken and destitute on the side of the road. So that's all I got for y'all, God.
The best part is I've been 2 sides of men. I've been that guy on both sides. Millionaire, also criminal. But guys, thank you for joining us on this week's episode. Come see us next week. Guys, go check out our website, boundariesandbrotherhood.com, boundariesandbrotherhood.authority center for the blog, and come find us on social media. Hit the like, subscribe button and follow. I'm going to leave up here. It's going to be last week's video and a subscription video. Guys, we'll see you next week. Aloha.
Guys, take care. Y'all have a great and blessed day. We'll see y'all next week.
Boop. Bye. Oh, wait. Oh, it's my gong. No, I did not get gone.